Hello, and a very warm welcome to everyone listening. You are tuned in to Speak English with Confidence, the podcast where we don't just learn grammar rules, we learn how to find our voice. I'm David.
And I'm Sarah. Hi, everyone. I am so excited to be here today. But honestly, David, I'm also a little bit nervous.
Nervous? Sarah, you've been doing great lately. What's making you feel nervous today?
Well, it's actually exactly what we are talking about today. Speaking. Even though I practice, sometimes when the red recording light goes on or when I have to speak to a stranger, my mind just goes blank. It's like all the English words I know just fly out the window. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense, Sarah. And I want to tell you, and everyone listening right now, that what you are feeling is 100% normal. That feeling of your mind going blank, it's not a lack of knowledge, it's an overflow of anxiety. Today, we are going to tackle that head-on. We are going to talk about moving from fear to freedom.
I love that, from fear to freedom, because that is what it feels like, fear. Last week, I had to make a phone call to a customer support line in the UK regarding a software issue. I prepared my script, I wrote down what I wanted to say, but the moment the agent answered and said, "Hello, how can I help you?" I froze. My hands were sweating, David. I felt so small. I felt like a child who couldn't express herself.
Thank you for sharing that, Sarah. That is a very vulnerable place to be. I think many of our listeners are nodding their heads right now. That emotion, feeling small, is the biggest barrier. It's not about vocabulary, it's about identity. You are an intelligent, capable adult in your native language, but in English, you feel like you lose that power.
Exactly. That is it. I feel like I lose my personality. I can't make jokes, I can't be sarcastic. I'm just basic, and I hate it. So how do we solve this? How do I stop feeling like an imposter in English?
Well, let's start with the why. Why are we doing this? Sometimes when the struggle gets hard, we lose sight of the big picture. We treat English like a math subject we have to pass, but it's not.
Right. It's a tool.
It is more than a tool. It is a bridge. There is a beautiful quote by Nelson Mandela that I always think of when students tell me they are struggling. He said, "If you talk to a man in a language he understands, that goes to his head. If you talk to him in his language, that goes to his heart."
Wow, that gives me goosebumps. To his heart.
Exactly. When we learn English, we aren't just memorizing verbs. We are trying to reach people's hearts. We are trying to connect with a global community. Whether it's for travel, for a better job, or just to make a friend from a different culture, English is the key that unlocks those doors. When you focus on the connection rather than the perfection, the pressure starts to drop.
Connection over perfection. I need to write that down. I think my problem is I am obsessed with perfection. I am terrified of making grammar mistakes. I feel like if I use the wrong tense, the other person will judge me or think I'm stupid.
That is the perfectionism trap, and it is dangerous. Let me ask you this, Sarah. If you meet a tourist in your country and they try to speak your language but make a mistake, do you laugh at them? Do you think they are stupid?
No, never. I actually feel happy that they are trying. I want to help them. I usually just guess what they mean and answer them.
See? The world is not against you. Most people are kind. They just want to understand you. You have to give yourself permission to make mistakes. Albert Einstein, a man who was pretty smart, once said, "Anyone who has never made a mistake has never tried anything new."
That is so true. If I'm not making mistakes, I'm probably not learning. Okay, so mentally, I need to chill out. I need to accept that mistakes are part of the process. But David, practically speaking, what can I do? When I'm alone at home, how do I practice so I don't freeze when I'm in public?
Great question. Let's get into the problem-solving phase. I have 3 specific techniques for you and our listeners. The first one is called the Narration Method.
The narration method? Is that like reading a book?
Not quite. It's narrating your own life in real time. You do this when you are alone, so there is no pressure. For example, while you are making coffee, you say out loud, "I am walking to the kitchen. I am grabbing the mug. Now I am pouring the hot water. It smells delicious."
Wait, I have to say this out loud? My cat is going to look at me like I'm crazy.
Let the cat judge you. It's fine.
The physical act of moving your mouth and hearing your own voice is crucial. It connects your brain to your tongue. If you only think in English, you aren't training your mouth muscles. You need to get comfortable hearing yourself speak English.
Okay, I can try that. Narrating my day. I am brushing my teeth. I am looking in the mirror. It sounds simple, but I can see how it helps with fluency. It stops the translation process in the head, right?
Precisely. You stop translating and start being in English. That leads to the second technique, shadowing. Have you heard of this?
I think so. Is that where you repeat after a native speaker?
Yes, but with a twist. You don't just repeat the words, you mimic the emotion, the speed, and the melody. English is a musical language. It has ups and downs. If you speak like a robot, you feel like a robot. Find a podcast, like this one, or a YouTube video. Listen to one sentence, pause, and then try to say it exactly like the speaker. If they sound excited, you sound excited. If they whisper, you whisper.
I like that because it helps with acting. And speaking a foreign language is kind of like acting, isn't it? You're putting on a persona.
It is absolutely like acting. You are stepping into a slightly different version of yourself. And the third technique, which is the scary one, record yourself.
Oh no, I hate the sound of my own voice, even in my native language.
Everyone does, but it is the fastest way to improve. Record yourself answering a simple question, like, what did I do today? Talk for 1 minute. Then listen to it. Don't listen to criticize yourself. Listen to identify one thing you want to improve. Maybe you said too many times. Maybe you struggled with the th sound. Just pick one thing to fix for next time.
Okay, I can do that. It's about facing the fear in a safe environment. Start where you are, use what you have, do what you can.
Who are you quoting there? That sounds familiar.
That was Arthur Ashe, the tennis player. I looked up some quotes too before the show. I wanted to motivate myself.
That is a brilliant quote, Sarah. Start where you are. You don't need to be an expert to start speaking. You just need to start.
David, can we try something? Since this is a practice podcast, can we do a quick role play? Maybe simulate a situation where I usually get stuck?
I think that is a fantastic idea. Let's do a small talk scenario. This is where most people freeze, meeting someone new. I will be a stranger at a bus stop. You are standing next to me.
Okay, deep breath. I'm ready.
Wow, this bus is taking forever today, isn't it?
Yes, it is very late. I hope it comes soon.
Me too. I'm actually running late for a meeting. Do you take this bus often?
Yes, every day for work. It is usually on time. But today is traffic?
Yeah, the traffic must be bad downtown. I'm David, by the way.
I'm Sara. Nice to meet you.
Cut. Sarah, that was great.
Really? I felt like I stumbled on the word traffic. I wanted to say congested, but I couldn't remember the word, so I just said traffic with a question mark.
And that was perfect. You solved the problem. You didn't stop speaking. You found a simpler way to express the idea. That is what fluency is. Fluency isn't knowing every word in the dictionary. Fluency is the ability to keep the conversation going, even when you don't know the word.
That makes me feel a lot better. I always thought if I didn't use the fancy word, I failed, but we understood each other.
We understood each other perfectly. And smiling helps too. When you smile, it relaxes your vocal cords and makes you sound more friendly. It takes the tension out of the conversation.
So David, we've talked about fear, we've talked about techniques like narration and shadowing, but what about the days when I just feel tired? Sometimes learning English feels like climbing a mountain that never ends. How do we stay motivated for the long run?
That is the reality of learning anything difficult. There will be plateaus. There will be days where you feel like you are actually getting worse, not better.
Yes! Last week, I felt like my English was worse than it was a month ago. It was so frustrating.
That is actually a sign of progress. It means your brain is restructuring information. When you feel that burnout, you need to change your input. Stop studying textbooks. Stop doing grammar drills. Instead, consume content you actually love. Watch a movie you've already seen, but in English. Listen to songs and read the lyrics. Remind yourself that English is fun.
I love watching cooking shows. Maybe I should just watch them in English without subtitles. Even if I don't understand everything, I'm still listening, right?
Absolutely. Immersion is key. And remember the quote by Confucius. It does not matter how slowly you go, as long as you do not stop. It's not a race, Sarah. It's a lifestyle. You are building a bilingual brain. That takes time. Be patient with yourself.
It does not matter how slowly you go. I need to remember that. I'm always in a rush. I compare myself to people on the internet who say, I learned English in 3 months.
Ignore them. Those claims are rarely true, or they are talking about very basic memorization. Real, deep fluency, where you can express your emotions and your personality, takes years, and that is okay. The journey is the reward. Think about all the people you can talk to now that you couldn't talk to 5 years ago.
That's true. I have a friend from Japan who I met online, and we only communicate in English. Without English, I would never know her. That friendship is precious to me.
There you go. That is the why we talked about earlier. That connection is worth all the fear, all the sweating palms, and all the grammar mistakes.
You are right. Okay, I'm feeling much more motivated now. I think I'm going to try the shadowing technique tonight.
Wonderful. And for our listeners, I want to give you a small challenge for this week, a call to action.
Ooh, I love a challenge. What are we doing?
I want you to speak to yourself for 2 minutes every day this week. Just 2 minutes. Narrate what you are doing, or tell yourself a story about your childhood. But do it out loud. And if you are feeling brave, record it on day 1, and then record it again on day 7. Compare the confidence.
That sounds doable. 2 minutes. Everyone has 2 minutes, even if you do it in the shower.
Especially in the shower. The acoustics are great there. You sound like an opera singer.
I'll spare the neighbors my singing, but I will do the speaking.
Before we wrap up, Sarah, do you have any final thoughts for the beginners out there who are just starting this scary but amazing journey?
I think I just want to say, don't let fear silence you. Your voice matters. Your ideas matter. Even if your grammar is broken, your message is valuable. So please, speak up. The world wants to hear you.
That was beautifully said, Sarah. Your voice matters. I couldn't agree more. To our listeners, thank you so much for joining us on Speak English with Confidence. Remember, every expert was once a beginner. Every fluent speaker once struggled to order a coffee. You are on the right path.
Thank you, everyone. Keep practicing, keep smiling, and be kind to yourself.
Until next time, keep talking. Goodbye.
Bye.